Being a HR professor, I always say recruit for the passion, not for the skill. So what about reading the passions? What about evaluating your values? What about evaluating your commitment?
It reminds me of a question which I was obsessed with not long back, because this was a debate happening in the field of law, where people were discussing if judges can be replaced by computers.
Use any AI tool and generate either DALI, Sephora, so many things are there. So use any one thing and show me a Spider-Man doing it for me. So no AI cannot generate it because the data is not available.
Today we will discuss about a topic which has both the parts. Some people take it very positively because AI is all about in-depth analysis, it's about patterns, it's about more productivity, it's about objectivity, it's about adding value, it's about decreasing cost. Some people take it with a pinch of salt because it lacks human emotions, it lacks human touch, it lacks getting rid of those biased algorithm. So it has both the aspect. In fact, there was a research in 2022, if I remember, it was by Tyson, and the research says that productivity is fine, output is fine. But the problem is, whatever we are talking about, the numbers, those increased number is what we are looking at, or we are looking at a holistic perspective where people are happy, things are fine, productivity is fine, there is no biasness. He discussed lot of issues and we three are here to discuss that. Now when you talk about such topic, it's not about only management part, it has technology part, it has human aspect. So we have two professors here, myself Dr. Pratima, Dr. Lakshmi from Engineering Department, School of Business, and Dr. Ravi from Liberal Art. So today we will discuss, can AI make a better world for us, better organization for us? So let us have some initial thoughts. So what are your thoughts on AI? Just some broad perspective.
Thanks, Dr. Pratima. I think for me, like we were discussing just before we began, is that the fear is that all thoughts around AI tend to be very fuzzy, vague, and mostly sweeping statements, right? And we are caught in the web of such remarks. And I think, like you already set the stage, our conversation is a way of bringing some focus into this larger debate by locating it within the context of a very particular question, which is, can AI run a company? And I think I would probably give some maybe initial thoughts on this, and maybe we can take that further. For me, maybe I would start at this juncture where I speculate whether we can ask, even if AI can run a company, should it, right? Just because AI can do something, should it be allowed to? Which is very different. Which is a very different question from asking a very different question, which is, can AI run it in the first place? And I will just. It reminds me of a question which I was obsessed with not long back, because this was a debate happening in the field of law, where people were discussing if judges can be replaced by computers, right? Now, this was not really the time of generative AI. This was much before that. This was just AI which could basically mine case data and make certain decisions based on those, right? So it kind of predated this specific generation of AI that we are dealing with. And maybe I will just talk about how I see that kind of debate playing out, because often when we are talking about AI running a company, we kind of mean that AI will be in more of a leadership position, not really the lower level tasks which are anyway possibly given away to some kind of robotic procedure or other.
That has already started.
Yeah. So so there could be some synergy between the question whether AI can run a company and the question that can judges be replaced by computers, because both have to take high level decisions, which is what leaders, decision makers, politicians or people who are in this kind of a higher vantage point have to take. And for me, there is an instinct in me when I see when I get disappointed nowadays with many political decisions, I often wonder if, despite all this anxiety about AI being biased, there is a way in which at least AI would be reasoning to arrive at its judgment through some relatively clear way rather than a way that is more opaque. So I kind of tend to think that judges, if they were really ideal, they would actually be like computers, right? So, and companies also, insofar as they aspire to be like institutions, which means, they kind of follow certain rules. If there is a mishap within the company, you want to figure out what is the best way to have any internal punishment procedure and so on and so forth.
So let us understand.
So in that sense, I kind of like to push the idea, because it's very easy to be skeptical, that I think it will be interesting. I think it is quite a possibility to consider positively the fact that AI can run a company and run it in a more fair way than humans can. So yeah,
Okay,
over to
Dr.
you.
Ramalakshmi, you tell about the technology part.
Before going into the technology part, I just like to embrace that question is very good on this time. Can AI run a company? So last week I was hearing to a podcast by Microsoft AI CEO, Suleiman. He himself was telling, you all know that the AI part has started. Technically, when you talk, it's a Turing machine, and Alan Turing was the one who was taking the initiative. And you know about the Turing test. What is the, still we have reached Turing test. When you give a problem to a machine and a human, we call it as an imitation game. So when you give that problem to a human and a machine, both you get the same, you cannot identify who is giving the answer. So we have reached it because of the generative AI and chat GPTs, whatever right now we are having access, that is great. So we are in an AI explosion era. So that is happening, we are seeing it. So Suleiman has rightly told on the podcast that if I give a command to, it is modern tuning law. Right now he is stating it, and he has also given in his hex page. When I ask a AI to generate a business, create a business for me. So when you see a business, it starts with a business plan, then resource allocation, inventory, everything else, branding, put together. It is able to do all the things. Then we have achieved a general AI, what we are today moving towards. So this is the idea of how technology is evolving very fast, that when you blink, you have reached in another step in it.
Okay. Now there is a issue. Now when we talk about AI into organizations or taking place of humans. So now let us compare two culture. Let us compare US and countries like Denmark and Sweden. Now what happens in US? In US, automation is fine, everything is cost benefit analysis. They take decisions on cost benefit. But when you go to Denmark or Sweden, they take decisions on fairness, justice, society. Now you see, the role of AI is also changed or mended as per the culture. Now someone can say, like him, he can say no, it has to be tweaked, AI is better, they are not biased, they know what to speak, politicians don't know how to speak, and you are saying they are doing it. But then the problem of AI is, or our society is, in certain culture, fine, it is part of it and we are getting results and the culture is also happy, but there are some countries they are not so happy about it and they have more to do with justice. So I have something for you at least in this aspect. So when we talk about it, so what do you think? How it will shape up, where we are and where we will head? Because you said, okay, it's on, it's everywhere. But do you think with the same frequency all countries will adopt, all culture will adopt, or there can be some disruptions?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. This I discussed with my student also because I am handling generative AI now. So the thing is, it's reinforcement learning, what you teach them. So when you see the context of the AI, any chatbots, so when you see that the context is very different, when you say that news, early 90s, it's newspaper. Okay, when you say now news, it's social media. So the context is evolving. So for example, in my house, we have Gen Z and also we have Gen Alpha. So the terms that they use, Ohio, busing, they have a different accent. So now my generative AI, which when Gen Alpha comes, the context also is evolving every time. So what you teach, it is now AI is learning. But someday in future, if you don't have a proper ethical rule set and other things, the biasness is there. I understand the criticality of it. The other question, where we stand now and how the future, that was the next question you asked. Where we stand now is a very good question, I say. Why? Okay. Because 10 years back, when I was started 2013-14, when I started working on it, only mathematician or people who are involved in machine learning, we had access to take decision tree or take a neural network, everything. We have access to that technology and we have tools and things. Right now, you see a common man. Yesterday, I was in a tech summit in Bangalore, and a common man has put me a question. I was like taken away. What is the accuracy, ma'am, of your algorithm? I was showing that. What is the accuracy, ma'am? What is the F1 score? So that much awareness has come because they have created, and this because of the AI explosion from 2018 after OpenAI and Microsoft AI. So what happened? The explosion has started, and people are understanding, and they are using the interface. They created an interface where every common man or a conscience of a common man can understand what is going on the AI part. And they started using it for the better Google Maps. You say any recommendation, everybody started using it and understanding it. So I'm happy that where we stand right now.
You're happy.
Yeah, in a point. But as a future, because it's learning very fast. You always know when there is a group of people, if one is smarter, it will outperform. They will think in a different way. So there are hidden learning happening, which we are unaware of.
But you know what, research also says, sir, you will agree because you are more into society and their benefits, because you know, a professor from liberal heart will have this type of understanding. So when we talk about AI, we also say that now the time has come that the most brilliant will take all, you know, because the lower level jobs are already taken up by AI. Mid level and more thinking, as you said, those jobs have increased. So there is a fear. So what do you think, how ethics will have a role to play, social responsibility will have a role to play when we talk about AI and implementing it everywhere? At the lower level, it's fine. Those jobs are okay, but when we go to the next level, it's about CSR, it's about society, it's about sustainability. You know, there are many agendas. So your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, I feel that there are, sort of let me gather some of the points that you yourself made, that first of all, you talked about a kind of a democratization of AI where everybody has access to it. So it seems like in any case, whether AI will replace human beings or not, AI will be largely aiding all our human endeavors as a kind of a prosthetic, a technological prosthetic which we will all use. And you know, coming back to when we talk about running a company, let's say, you know, I think when you're running a large company, especially, the challenges of communication that arise sort of demand a kind of, both a kind of, you know, being prolific, at the same time being customized. And I would like to think that there would be leaders, for example, of a large multinational corporation, who would like to take the help of generative AI to customize his or her messages exactly to the varying cultural contexts. And I kind of feel that that kind of AI as it stands today will be actually able to accommodate that kind of customization, right? Now, what you otherwise said is that the fact that AI is biased, it's very interesting that actually you're very right, ma'am, that in the humanities there is a lot of crying hoarse about the bias that AI brings. However, when during the AI and Society Confest, when I was having a conversation with Kailash Nath, who is this Chief Technology Officer at Zerodha, who himself has a very philosophical bent of mind, what he said was that why do we expect AI to be so bizarrely unbiased, because AI is anyway a mirror of who we are. If anything, AI is able to lay it out there what our own biases are, right? So in that sense, AI is able to exteriorize our biases. So when we locate biases in AI, I think what they tell us is that those biases are there in our culture itself. So, and it's like that is there for everybody to see. It's no longer something we can evade. It's like a collective mirror to society, if you like, which cannot be denied, right? So in that sense, I'm kind of fascinated with the idea that people who would otherwise get away with making biases or practicing their biases would leave a trace in the AI systems. It's like the AI systems would not allow that to sort of die out, or maybe they could even be designed to kill that bias, so to speak. Okay. So that's where I stand.
No, but then you look at the fixed biases created by the design of it, the algorithm biases. So if you don't have the keywords, your CV is not shortlisted.
Yes,
right?
that is it.
Right. If you, and we say, being a HR professor, I always say recruit for the passion, not for the skill. So what about reading the passions? What about evaluating your values? What about evaluating your commitment? Because end of the day, we also know that there are many kids who may not be getting 90%, but when they go to industry, they do better job than someone getting 90%. And what was that whole thing which kept them motivated was passion, learning, and they do miracles. So what about that? Because AI is all about that fixed algorithm. Anything outside it, they don't accept. So it's a fixed biasness, which humans don't have. So there is a issue, biasness issue is there in AI also.
Yes, ma'am. The thing is, I think this distinction is important, because what Dr. Pratima has done for us is that this distinction itself, whether bias is fixed or whether bias is dynamic, in fact, that's also something that Kailash Nath brought in my conversation. He said that it is because of AI, by the way, that today we are asking philosophical questions again. Because in some sense, these questions of what is bias, or what is fair or what is unfair, was sort of relegated to academia, was the ivory tower of academia, especially as you say liberal arts. But because of AI and because of how much of significance we attach to it, these questions have come back, and I think you brought a wonderful distinction between the fact that bias can be fixed or bias can be dynamic. My sense, ma'am, is that maybe I would like to reserve this judgment till I look at the specific AI system we are talking about, because I am not sure how they are evolving in terms of their actual operation, or also how they're evolving as the generations pass. So that's where I stand. Yeah. So
I have a opinion here. So as he said, see, when you are running a very larger company, I cannot run through all the, see, for example, recently you can see that Dipender Goyal has sent for a request on his page, and it was 18,000. In one day, I cannot sort it out. So initial scanning can be done with the AI resume shortlisting. But there are exceptional cases, as you said. I was reading an article by Amazon has created one of its AI resume selector, which has gone very far for a biasing thing. It has not selected even a female candidate. It has learned that that particular role it's only for male. So that is a greatest initial round also I cannot believe on that system. So I think people who are rolling out the algorithm, okay, they has to be taken certain level of responsibility to refine how this bias is in a trial run. And then we have a very good story about Twitter. It has rolled out a chatbot earlier, and it started within 4 hours to 5 hours. They have to call back the technology because it has started giving an abusive comments. Because after that only OpenAI has come up with a great rule set. So we always can personalize, or we can tailor it so that the biasness can be reduced. And I certainly agree that at some point when the task is huge and where human need some effort from the AI, then it is always there to help us. So we can take and help, and it is the responsibility of the people who are doing the algorithm to look into this biasness and reduce it to
So
certain
end of
level.
the day, it's human.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So as a HR professor, I'm still saying at the end of the day, it's human.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And there is some ethic code being made by IEEE, and they're working on ethics code for robot. I think for robotic part, they have done it, and then they're doing for AI. So you have some understanding of that. So when it will be, freely available, the rules and responsibilities of a software which we are rolling out, still it's in a discussion point.
Yeah, it's still in a debate.
Okay.
There is no rule set, solid rule set has come out from any authority or any cases how it has to be taken care. So it's still on discussion. We will be seeing that for AI also they are bringing up some legal studies and how we can make it as a legalized one.
So it's like, making, when we talk about art and craft, a very simple thing which we used to do in our childhood, it's, the theory says that the type of craft you make depends on the type of human being you are.
Yeah.
So algorithm also is like a mirror of who is doing it and what is his vision. I think that is one aspect of it, right? Now there is something more to it which I was thinking about. When we talk about human creativity, leadership roles, and when we talk about creativity, we are talking about AI creativity also, generative AI also. When we talk about leadership, as you said, when you started your talk, that leadership is all about thinking at a higher level, higher platform for everyone, top of the pyramid, so that the whole pyramid is taken care of. So maybe your thoughts, Ravi, how this AI can help us in enhancing creativity. A lot has been said of creativity, and everyone says AI can't make you creative. AI can help you in becoming creative because it may give you some pattern, it may tell you some data points. So when you have those data, or it can give you the crux of a book. So when you have all that information very fast in some hour, maybe you do a better job, but it can't make you creative. Creativity is something which is like, it's in, you can say a part of personality, you can say a part of our DNA, a part of our learning process, our exposure. So creative is that. Creativity involves around those things. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like I said, because my thoughts on this are so scattered, I would again bound this question with the specific context of how to run a company and the creativity involved in running a company. Now, what I would do is that let us take, you have all these stories about great leaders and the decisions these great leaders have taken. My thesis is that even creative decisions and the results that follow from creative decisions and the consequences of those are all the kind of things, all of them are the kind of things that can be captured in the form of a narrative. And if they are captured in the form of a narrative, that means that narrative can be articulated in the form of a language. In which case, if we want to look at different scenarios, let's say a leader has to be creative insofar as coming up with a new strategy in what is a very dynamic business environment, and it is a scenario that is filled with unpredictability, as we all know, today's time, with all kinds of unpredictability, and the decision has to be truly creative, because in that sense there is no way AI is in also a position to say that, look, this will be a correct decision. It will be more like, as it will necessarily be a creative gamble, which then the AI will have to follow through or something like that. Insofar as that, perhaps I would like to believe that AI may expose leaders to a larger field of creative decisions. But again, there is some skepticism about how AI systems actually work and whether they just gravitate towards certain, certain regions in that field which attract people more, which is, like how, I'm not sure how that pans out. But even more than that, for me, it would be very interesting to also, if we could double click something which Rama brought up, and I would like to know your thoughts on that, which is the complexity of hiring. Because in our limited setup of, being in a university, we have had some experience of being involved in the hiring process. And this whole idea of hiring somebody on the basis of a resume and trying to truly, stake everything on that basis and say that, look, this person's character or how that person will behave can be genuinely inferred or guessed from that, is really a process that we have somehow encountered in our time at Alliance. Right. And it's really, it would be really interesting for you if you could let us know what is this complexity of hiring as a process in which we can then sort of slightly unpack more and see whether AI can help in that process in any way. So what do you think?
Hiring is a big issue for all organizations, right? And we are tackling with human biases. And then we got into AI, we got into so many software which do this keywords, filtering and all that. But again, the problem is same, and I think the problem is bigger. The problem is bigger because the earlier generation, there were less issues related to what we call emotional intelligence, or we call it stress, all those factors were less. Now those factors are at the peak. Now when we are dealing with that, therefore I have a lot of doubts over this, because AI, for me, as I said, I go for passion, I go for commitment, I go for learning skills. Especially when I evaluate someone, I don't go by keywords, are you from IIT or you're from IIM or you have got that percentage. My question always in interview is, so if a student is not interested, what you will do? I evaluate on these type of issues. But then, as you said, it is of great help, because somewhere if I start taking interview for everyone, then I think 24/7 I will end up doing interview. So you tell me, ma'am, how AI is, how much you can depend on AI for decision making, and especially these type of tricky decisions.
Okay, so to start with the first question you have put about the creative part, I want to say that. So I usually do that.
That was my first question.
Yeah. Why? Because I will always challenge student with something. So I'll ask them to generate. I asked them recently to generate. Use any AI tools. There are so many AI tools available. Use any AI tool and generate either DALI, Sephora. So many things are there. So use any one thing and show me a Spider-Man doing it for me. So no AI cannot generate it because the data is not available. So there comes, I wanted to tell them that we are more creative. There was an argument between me and the student session that which is more creative, AI or a human. So I told that let us take a test now, we will do it. So it started generating a Spider-Man on a tree or Spider-Man on a road where forest is there, all this is there, but it has not generated what we wanted.
And what is it you wanted?
I wanted a Spider-Man doing a forming.
Doing a?
Forming.
Okay.
In a form fields, or he's doing a forming. Exactly, he has to do a forming. Like
I see.
as a human doing a forming thing.
So Spider-Man should do.
Do it. So that was my thought. I told them. They are not able to generate. Even DALI couldn't generate it because he was standing somewhere near the path or somewhere. He's literally not doing as if a farmer doing it. So that was a thing. So AI can generate, until now, it can generate something which is data is available. From there, it is creating you and giving you some dots it is connecting and trying to create. But when you give certain scenes like this, it is can't. But I am thinking that slowly it will learn in the process, because it is evolving with us.
Or maybe our imagination will add to those data points,
Yes.
and then in turn,
Reinforcement is
Yes.
happening, so it will learn quickly.
Yes.
So right now that is the creative stand I have. Next question, you are asking me about this hiring process.
Yes.
So can you tell me what was the
Yes, so
question?
I'm asking ki how much you can trust AI when it comes to decision making and something like this
Okay.
hiring,
Yeah, that is the thing. See,
or
AI,
how much it has developed, you
yeah,
can say,
so
technologically.
yeah, you all know that our human brain is designed in such a way that when you started learning a technology, we also try to manipulate it. So one of my student, I was talking to him, he was telling that, ma'am, how to get shortlisted for a particular profile, I'll tell you, because I'm working on that technology. So what keywords you have to use, even you have that skill or not. So how to bypass that, you all know that how to bypass it. So they started learning it. Now human is learning from AI also right now. So how to bypass the system. So he was telling you use this keywords to get it done. So that is how this is happening. So that is one thing. Another thing, you always know that AI is little manipulative. We cannot trust on it. All the recommendations come to you. So one of my
Okay, sorry to interrupt. So it's manipulation, or it's the lack of credibility of the data points? Because AI takes the data points from different sources.
Yes.
And all the data sources are not credible. So whatever is there, they take it, and from there they produce something. So I think it's more of manipulation, or you can say the credibility of the data points is something which is hampering the effect of AI or the output.
I will answer both the things. Data point, how it will affect, how manipulation affect. So for manipulation, I'll tell you, when you open a social, one of my friend is working on a digital platform. He is into digital marketing. So whenever you log into something and you search for some things, like what you want to buy right now, your birthday is coming or something. So what happened is all the social media, whenever you open anywhere, that ad pretend to come. So normally a human brain is designed in such a way, if you see 7 times something in a day, so brain will start to have a urge to buy that thing. So this will happen. So there is a very good movie called Focus. So if you have time, you watch it. So so it's to gambling. They will try to manipulate a person. So always when he want to choose number 7, when he crosses the road, number 7 will come. I will keep telling that number. Subconsciously it get done, and this is called as an AI manipulation, I tell. Okay, this is my coined word. So this is one thing. Second part, that question you were asking is data points. So that comes where you have a biasness also comes with the data point. When you feed the system with, for example, I can break down this into a smaller example. When I train an algorithm which only cancerous tissue, and I wanted to detect it, the labeling issue is there. So sometimes what happens is the less number of data in some other label and large number of data available label, and always AI will mispredict it. And the data points missing will always lead to a bias or a wrong decision. We are asking about decision making. So as you told, that is a valid point. If you don't have a proper data, it will lead to a wrong decision only. So that is, the source of data has to be authenticated, and that's what the data analyst job is, to check whether the data is properly having all the information, or it is biased, or its scaling is done properly. All that we work on the data analyst part. So after that only it comes to the algorithm part. So if as you rightly said, when the data is not correct, you are going to end up with a wrong decision.
Okay, so one final question. We are talking about whether AI can run the company or not. How you imagine a leader of a big organization? A robot sitting on a good chair, and running the show or a human being? How you would like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I have this. The answer to me is, lies in this German philosopher Immanuel Kant, and I think you will relate to my example at some level. Uh, so Immanuel Kant had this idea of ethics where he believed, when he's talking about the categorical imperative, that you are most free when you make the categorical imperative, that you come to that categorical imperative almost in robotic fashion, which means if you are truly ethical, you will follow that same ethical rule no matter what, right? Like as if you were a robot. And that is a view of ethics, which is where he's actually saying that in that sense, although I think that kind of a robot would not be the kind of dynamic AI that we have today. That is one view. But when you talk about, say, the consequentialists, where they don't follow rules for the sake of rules, but depending on any scenario, they calculate what the consequences would be. They would weigh the pros versus the cons, and come up with a decision. So I think it depends on the kind of company, because here when we say the word company, we have to be very clear about what kind of company it is. If we kind of want to have a sense of a company which is a genuine institution, which means, if you look at why we respect the Tatas, I mean, relative to other industrialists, is because they have been better institutions as compared to companies which may have done financially better than the Tatas. So in which case they have probably been, very robotic about the ethical decisions they take. They certainly have zones which they don't get into, right? Whereas again, if you look at more dynamic organizations which are navigating a very complex terrain, there I definitely don't see, in fact, so easily AI having that kind of a leadership role, except that I don't know right now what is the status of how much AI is being generally used to predict the future. This is the question that I'm interested in, right? Because I think one question people who run companies are interested in is how much they can predict the future. So maybe, I don't know what is that state, maybe we can sort of ask whether AI can help the leader of a company to predict the future. It could be the future of the stock market, it could be the future of weather, it could be future of political systems. So insofar as enough data is there, AI can help you to sort of help a leader in predicting the future and then make decisions on that basis. So, but yeah, honestly, if it's a genuinely very dynamic company, I mean, like I said, I actually would ask that question, why would I even want an AI? As you rightly said, I lean towards your intuition that if you want, a leader has to be human, right? If we look at all these conceptions of leaders we have had in the history of philosophy, for example, like Plato's idea of philosopher kings, where you have to be so supremely human, your philosophical faculties have to be developed, so then you can be a philosopher king. So, it's only people who have extreme, even Aristotle's idea of a leader is like that. A leader is somebody who goes through all other walks of life and then becomes a leader. Like, for example, he would say a politician should never start with politics. A politician should, do some other job, 10 other jobs, and then really have the moral authority or generally just be capable of a leadership position. So in that sense, if we get into the question of whether, forget about AI, whether machines should replace leaders, I don't think so. I think this is a deeply human idea, the concept of leadership, right? So I don't know why we don't need leaders for the heck of it. We are not, it's not just a technical requirement that a leaders should be leading followers, right? And it's not that. So in that sense, I definitely would not want machines to take over. So if forget about AI.
Your thoughts, ma'am?
So, as he said, I always have two opinions on that. One is that, see, when AI is a leader, I think human bias will not be there. Favoritism, then code or conduct in which we have to give the message to them. That will be their tone of setting the tone. This all will be little reduced. That is limited. So that is one point I am working. I am seeing it. It will be a good. But other thing, there are, see, AI cannot address everything. See, as a human, as a leader, we have to come up dynamically with the solution, and it is to be very personalized for each individual. See, given the circumstance, given the problem nature, see, normally AI, we usually depend on resolving a problem. So there are, you know that when you talk about a problem, there is heuristic idea comes, how the solution space is very big. And AI helps you in narrowing the solution space. So right now, so the AI could give you a complement your decision on setting the tone or setting the environment, but the dynamic decision can be made, I think, based on this given situation, because AI may not predicted that kind of situation, may not be deployed or went through on such circumstance where it has to make a decision. It will rely on human only. I think, as Ravi said, I also have to say that it can complement you, but it cannot be a leader. AI cannot, systems cannot run a entire thing. But I am looking at it, it may evolve, I am thinking of.
Okay. Now, interesting talk, but we have to end it.
Yeah, sure.
So, I will sum up by saying what Darren and Pascal said in 2019, and they came out with 3 parts of what AI will do. So, first was displacement effect, displacement of labor. So, he said there will be decrease in demand for labor or decrease in demand for the tasks which are very simple and can be handled, where there is no strategic thinking like leader. So, when we talk about displacement effect, it will be huge, and it is huge, and it is going to increase. Then comes the next productivity effect. But interestingly, productivity effect is still now not noticed. US has registered a decrease of 1.5% productivity per year in the last century. Okay. Now you look at it. So, productivity has also decreased. So, now we have very thought over it whether productivity will increase or not. Now comes the third part of it, reinstatement effect. Now this says creation of new task. Now what is happening? Creation of new task, as both of you said, that yes, there will be, but partial. So it is at mid level. Now what is happening? All the tasks are enhancing at the mid level. Nothing is happening at the lower level because tackled by AI. So this will be one change in the organization. So at lower level you can fully use AI, in mid level you can complement, but at the third level you cannot do, because all the 3 phases, displacement, productivity and reinstatement, only the displacement effect you can see, the other 2 yet we do not know what will happen. So at the leadership not possible, lower level 100% possible, and the mid level it is a mix of both, and but we are yet to see how AI manifest and how things happen. Thank you so much, and it was such an interesting discussion, and we will continue it after this also. Thank you so much.